my guys asked me to give you a brief lecture on how the startups, what the startups should be thinking about when they are starting, when they are growing, so the things that you should keep in mind. Actually, this will be a review of the key problems that we see in startups that come to our accelerator. So as you know, or you maybe don't know, I'm one of the founders of Mabius Food Startup Accelerator. We are the first food accelerator in Russia, and one of the first in the world, actually. We were founded in 2014, so like about 3.5 years we are already operating and running programs with startups and helping them grow their business. And so there is quite a lot of experience that we have built. Currently, we run a program in cooperation with PepsiCo, one of the largest companies, food and beverage companies in the world, actually. We help them to design and operate the corporate accelerator, which is called PepsiCo Lab. And currently, there are 12 startups in there. So I miss them very much while I'm here with you. So you can learn more on our website. I'll send you the presentation if you need. So briefly, I'll tell you how we work with startups. Unfortunately, the program is very intense and very long, so it's not possible to give even an idea to you how it runs or the general contents of it. So I'll just present you how we organize it, and you can apply this same framework to your startups yourself, actually, or find some experts that may help you. So the first thing that we do with startups to ensure their maximum growth is we try to analyze and find the problems, the challenges that they face. Actually, it's very important to have someone who can look at your startup from the outside, because most startups, most teams are like hamsters in a spinning wheel. They're just running in the spinning wheel, and they cannot change the spinning wheel itself until they're running inside of it. So basically, you need to step out and have a look at where you're running and how you can reshape your operating model, your product, and all that stuff. Instead of constant firefighting. So one of the first steps and first goals that we place in front of us is to help the startups start looking at their project in a critical way, trying to figure out what goes wrong. In most cases, actually, it is possible to do even ourselves. So, but indeed, a kind of a mentor, a kind of an advisor, a kind of a even peer startup who you might be a friend of you can help you very much in this. The second step is to prepare some kind of an action plan. Here you might need some subject matter experts who might help you with developing these plans, and also the next step is to actually implement it. Our acceleration program takes 6 months, out of which 4 are devoted to all these 3 steps, so like identifying the problem areas, planning for solution, and then execution of the solution. So changing the product, changing the marketing aspects, the branding, the positioning, working with costs, the research and development aspects like improving the shelf life and all that stuff. And the 2 months are devoted to test market, when we sell this product through our partners, retailers, and we can measure how well it performs at different levels of prices, how well it performs in different places of stores, of supermarkets, because some products can be placed in different categories actually in supermarket, and in one category they will perform better, and in the other they will perform much worse. So we assess the product performance, and this can be also implemented by you yourself through your channels of sales, like online, social media, or maybe convenience store, retail, HoReCa, whichever you are operating right now. And the fourth goal that we have, fifth objective that we have as a program for the startups is to build the foundation of basic knowledge in food and beverage business. It's really very hard and tough business because it's very cross-functional. In IT business, you need some kind of a CTO, marketing guy, and engineer, and that's the whole team that can build a great project. And so each one has some part of experience, some part of knowledge, and that's enough. In food and beverage, it's very cross-functional. You need at least to understand how research and development works, how nutrition works, how production and operations works, how finance works, how marketing and how sales, how can you cooperate with your customers, your retailers, or how you can build your own sales channel, direct channels like e-commerce. So it's very cross-functional, and we try to build the foundation for the startups, for the founders who participate in the program, so they understood each of these areas of knowledge, at least at the basic level. So to do this, we actually have 6 elements in our program. The first one is lectures. There are more than 80 hours of lectures for each team, so they participate as a group. They are devoted to these diverse areas of knowledge. So I'll try to give you the most important things today, right after I describe the program. The second, very important, is mentoring, because, as I've told you, the hamster and spinning wheel needs help to get out of it. So there must be an entrepreneur or experienced maybe executive manager from a food and beverage company who might help you with this. The third one is experts and consultations. These are the subject matter experts, like experts in nutrition or experts in marketing and all that stuff. So we connect the teams, the startups, with the experts from our team and from our extended network. The other 3, networking is very important. Right now we have 12 teams on the accelerator, and they are really cooperative. They help each other because some of them are more developed, more of a bigger scale, and have already grown to some substantial level. Others are more early stage, and they really exchange their experience, they exchange contacts, they make introduction, and it's really fruitful cooperation. So networking is also important. It doesn't mean that you must be an accelerator to do networking, right? It's available also with your peer startups. Test market is that we have partner retailers who help us and who allow us to run some experiments in their stores, so we can change prices and see how the product sales are changing with the change of prices. We can change the number of facings, like you did today, the merchandising exercise, so we can do similar things for our startups to help them understand how different activations in store help them achieve better revenues, better sales results. And the third one is investments or grants that help the startups to finance these changes in their product, in their packaging and design and marketing and all that stuff. So basically, this is it. It's quite a big program. And what I would like to tell you is the key 10 things that you should keep in mind. The first one is that you must be different but not weird. It's very important point, because sometimes people got crazy about innovation, and the purpose of innovation becomes the innovation itself. It doesn't make sense because it doesn't work for your consumers. So be innovative. Being innovative means that you are solving some substantial, real big problem that really hurts some people, and the problem is not solved yet. And if your project solves this problem, this means you are innovative. But if it solves the problem that doesn't care anybody, like spreading the butter on a bread, you don't need some kind of a solution and it won't work, right? So there is no business in too innovative products. Still, it is very important to be different, because difference is what differentiates you from the other from your competence, from your competition, and also allows you to easier enter retail chains. Because if you are developing and producing and trying to sell the product which is pretty much the same as other products that are already in the market, there is no incentive for the supermarkets, for retailers to take your product instead of the other one. So you must be different. It can be difference in product qualities, it can be difference in packaging, in taste, in price, but it definitely should be different. So the first point is be different but not weird. The second one is be resilient, especially with retailers. I like this picture very much because it really shows the way of a food and beverage startup. Large retailers, large retail chains are the summit, the top of this mountain. And you cannot get there in one leap. Whichever and however good your product is, it doesn't really matter. You will never jump just straight ahead. So you need to do these hard first steps and go slowly, but do it in the right direction. The first steps are small independent convenience stores, local, little, small retail chains, HoReCa, other channels of sales. And step by step, you grow your experience, you grow your supply chain, you grow your production capacities, and you grow your traction and data about how your product performs in the retail stores. And then you can come to the larger retailers and they will learn from this data and see that their retail chain, their retail stores can benefit from your product on the shelves. So it's a hard way. You need to put a lot of effort, you need to put a lot of energy, and you must be resilient and very tough to go through. Also, there is a small advice, always try to research the target company and the person you are meeting there, the stakeholder who can make the decision. Today it's quite easy. There is social media there, so you can see what the person is doing, what are his interests, is he married, does he have family, so that it will be much easier to communicate with him and to develop the contact. The next one is look outwards. As a small startup, your team definitely and always lacks some kind of experience, some kind of connection, some kind of knowledge, expertise, maybe resources, and you need to grab them from the outside. So if you are really bounded by your team and try not to look outside, you can do almost nothing. So be really open, and this is about networking, about connecting with new people, especially with people who can benefit from you and from who you can also benefit. You should network proactively, and also remember that you should not only try to take something from people, but also to give to them, and maybe sometimes even to give first. The first steps are really difficult, especially for people who are not really good in communication and building bonds with unknown people. But today it's much easier to find the right people on the social media, on the internet, in special forums and other online opportunities exist. You also indeed can participate in events, in exhibitions, and try to network and connect with new people. The other very important point that's really most of the startups struggle is understanding finance of the food and beverage business. Actually, finance and reporting and financial reports and accounting are the things that are not done only for the tax purposes, but also to manage business, because these are the metrics that help you see what's going on and help you predict what will be in the future. How much money you will need in the next month or in next year, how each of the business parts of your business operates, how your production operates, is it efficient or not, how your marketing operates, is it efficient or not, and so on. So basically this is a huge problem. You don't have to become an accountant or a finance manager, but you need to understand the principles, how this works, how accounting works, how reporting and financial reporting works. Just for my own statistics, please raise hands those of you who knows what accrual accounting is. All right, so okay, so accrual accounting is one of the types of one of the methods of accounting that tells how you should recognize, or what should you recognize as revenue, what you should recognize in costs, and how you allocate them in time periods. So it's a very important principle, actually, on which the profit and loss statement, for example, is based. So if you don't understand this, you don't understand how your P&L works. Also, cash flow statement is very important. It's much easier to understand because it's cash, you know, it's here, it's there, in your pocket or somewhere out there. And the balance sheet, also the things that you should be aware of and know how they operate and how they change over time, and how your decision making changes and influences these statements. The next one, it is also a failure for most startups, actually. This is the concept of positioning, the marketing concept of positioning. In most startups don't pay any attention to it, unfortunately, but it's very important and not really a hard concept. But I hardly recommend to each startup to develop their brand positioning, and we work with all our startups with whom we work. We actually go through this process because it's really important. It gives you clarity and alignment. What does it mean? It means that in many times founders, they have a concept of a product, and then they look at it, okay, I've seen there this kind of packaging, I think I like it, it's really good for my product. Okay, it looks like good, let's use this package. Okay, then, oh, I've seen some branding, some kind of a logo from another company. I liked it also very much, let's use it. And so this is like in Frankenstein, you know, there is no alignment, different parts from different situations, people grab, combine, and hope that this will work. That's not how it works. You need some kind of alignment. The final idea of each brand is to get into the consumer's head and find a particular place in it. And it's very hard, especially in today's overloaded with communication, with different marketing communications. It's very hard to get into consumer's head and to secure a piece of their mind. So what you as a brand should be doing is starting to identify what kind of share of mind and how you want to secure it behind your brand. So what your brand will be standing for in a very simple way. And then you develop out of this idea, you develop the whole positioning of your brand, and you use it as a brief for your designers, for your packaging, for your pricing decisions. So it is like a guiding star that helps you to develop all the other ways, all the other aspects of your product and your value proposition and your marketing and your communications in a coherent and clear way, so that it all works in one direction. And this collective effort of these elements, price, package, product, communication, when hitting up in one direction, it can get into consumer's mind. And if you're hitting in various direction by each element of your product, it hits nowhere. So it's very important. There are a lot of frameworks on developing brand positioning. Some of them are, well, not better, but some work for one team, some work for other teams. But my advice is definitely to find some marketing guy or girl who can help you. Indeed, the person should have the proper experience in branding and developing the positioning and also building brands in food and beverage. So this is a really important thing. The next one is price is the king. So especially in the developing markets, but in the developed markets as well. As you know, the wealth in population is distributed unevenly. Not each person in country has the same amount of money in their pockets. And this distribution is like this. So the higher the amount of income, of wealth, the less people are there with this amount of income. And the lower the income, the more people like this in each and every country. It changes between the countries, but it always looks the same. So there are no countries, unfortunately, where most people are very wealthy and almost no people are poor. What this means is that the price is not about helping the poor, but business-wise, it limits your addressable market. So if you are targeting really wealthy people, you have really tiny market and you will be selling your products in just small quantities. But if you try to target a larger audience with a lower pricing, indeed, you have a much more scalability for your product, for your business. So this makes your business much more interesting for investors, and it has much more potential to grow in a huge business. So that is why price is the king. Also, right now, much more products are launched, new launches happen in premium segment. So the competition there is also getting tougher. So if you are developing your business, think about it. Many companies start from premium and very soon go to the mass market because they see that economy of the business doesn't allow them to operate efficiently in this very small premium market. In Russia, actually, there are about 700 of premium retail stores. I mean, high quality with the retail stores connected into chains. So you can build a sustainable big business on the 100 retail stores. There are several thousands upscale retailers, and there are dozens of thousands of discounter stores. So this is really steep slope, and if your price is high, you can get lower to this mass market, to the hundreds, thousands, and dozens of thousands of retailers. They are just not available for you. So think about it when you're developing your business and when you're doing your financial forecasts. The shelf life is also a very important idea. The point here is that many naturally produced products, they have very small, very short shelf life. This is you should be clear about it. This is very hard to do such kind of business. It's very hard for your supply chain. You have big issues with the retailers because you have a substantial percent of returning products which perished in the store because of the short shelf life. So it's really hard business. On the other hand, on the opposite side of the spectrum is very long shelf life, years, for example. To today's consumers, it doesn't sound natural if a product is good for years, right? So I advise you to choose the shelf life that, on the one hand, is not close to minutes or hours or even several days, on the other hand, is no longer than a year. So basically, it's about 3-4 months. In Russia, this works quite well. Maybe in different markets, this needs some adjustment, but try to choose not very short shelf life, because it's really hard and it will increase your costs of operating such business. Also, the final point here, the shelf life actually is defined by the time during which the product is safe to be consumed. But also with your product, pay attention to its visual appearance during the whole shelf life and to its tastes. They tend to deteriorate during the period, so also take this into account, and we have this quite often with some products, that they taste really good for the first month, and then they start tasting a little bit worse, and at the third month they also start looking worse, especially with beverages when they split different fractions of it, so there is some hard fractions at the bottom of the bottle, and it starts looking not so nice. The next one, remember that package is your free communication tool. It talks to your consumers from retail shelves every day without any effort from you. So make use of it. What are the purposes of communication? First of all, for a product which is not known to the consumers, it is to grab their attention. So when this product stands on the shelf on some distance from me, it should be really visible. It should be really making me come closer and want to take this product. So use packaging, first of all, to attract attention. This means the product should be valued against the other products that are on the shelf. There are no absolute measures of what a good packaging is. So you always look it in comparison with other products on the same shelves. Next goal is, when I come to the shelf and take the product, I must be very clearly informed what it is, how it tastes, and how to consume it. When some of this communication may be done by your packaging, some of this communication may be done by the context, by the shelf where it is. If these wonderful items are put in a frozen section near the ice cream, for example, everyone going by will get an idea that this definitely must be ice cream. So you don't have to write across it ice cream in big letters. But you need to communicate aspects that are not evident to the consumers who are taking the product. So use package wisely. There is an opposite side with the package that you should keep in mind, that very often packaging costs quite a lot. And sometimes it can be even more expensive than the product inside it. So don't over-invent here. Don't make it too expensive, because this will drive your costs up and your margins down. So also not a good idea. So you need also here to find a proper balance for you. The next one, in most cases with our startups, we see that there is a opportunity for lowering the costs. And it's really substantial. It's not marginal like 5%. It's really 20 to 50%. How do you do that? First, find alternative co-packers, negotiate the price, start the bidding process, some kind of an auction, and try to put the prices down this way. This works quite good. The other one is simplify the package construction. What I've told you, if your package is overly complex, you quite often can simplify it without losing its attractiveness, without losing its visual appearance, but simplify construction, simplify how it is assembled, and so this way you can lower the costs also. And the third one, find alternative supplies of your raw materials and packaging materials. This also gives you an opportunity to start some kind of a bidding and an auction process and lower the costs. 20 to 50% gives you a huge opportunity for price cuts, for promos, and also a good margin. When you negotiate and try to push price down, remember that you want to establish a long-term relationships with the suppliers. So you shouldn't be pushing too hard, because this way one day they can break the relationship with you in a very inappropriate way, and you will be in trouble because you might be expecting a huge amount of materials from them, and they will just not supply you with them. So try to negotiate, try to find the perfect prices for you, but don't push too hard. And the last one, it's very important. It's about finding the right people on your team and the right co-founders. The first one is the right people on your team. From what I see, most founders, most startups don't use a lot of energy and effort to find people on their teams, to choose, to select. They just grab someone who got near them and seems like he will work. This is not the way you should be doing it. It's putting your startup at huge risk. Spend your time on conducting enough interviews so that you understand the level of your potential employees, how they skilled. Try to do it in a more interactive way and engaging the startups in your work before hiring them. Suggest that they do some kind of a project for you, some small task that will show you how they work really, because it's easy to talk, but it's much harder to do the job. So put more effort in finding proper people on your team. The second point here is about firing. Sometimes even best hiring decisions turn out to be wrong. And in this situation, you have to fire the person. And in also the experience that I see from the teams and from myself, when you think about maybe I should fire the person, this means that you totally should have fired him also long ago. Because it's a very hard decision, as Ivan have told you yesterday, and most people try to postpone it as far as they can. But it's hurting your business, and you should be really willing to solve this problem as fast as you can. Quite often, people tell me that, you know what, I can fire him right now. He is a poor performer, but I can fire him right now because we all are overloaded with job. And if I fire him, there is no one in our team who can take his job. The solution to this is quite simple. You hire first the person who will be doing this job. At first, along with the person you want to fire. And only then, when you see that the new person on board, he knows what to do, he is doing great, then you can fire the person that is no longer needed. And the last point, it is even more dramatic when it comes to co-founders. I've seen some teams where the co-founders meet at some event and they decided that, all right, we have a good idea, let's start a startup, let's start doing business. In most cases, this doesn't work. My advice is that you work with people as co-founders. You take people who you know very well. Maybe you have worked with them for years, or at least 1 year, intensively on one project. then you might take this person as a co-founder, because in other cases it's quite risky. You don't know how the person will behave under pressure in hard situations. Indeed, everyone is happy and lucky when everything is okay. So everyone's laughing, joking, and we are a great team and everything is okay. But entrepreneurship is inevitably leads to some periods where it's hard. It's hard for business, and it's hard for relationship between the people who are in this business. So if you are not totally sure how the person will behave under pressure, my advice would be not to take such a person on your team. All right.